Imagine paying 10 times more for a pill just because you live in America. Like, bro, it's the same pill, same bottle, same, but somehow your wallet gets mugged every time you walk into CVS. Well, Trump's back on his rant train, and this time he's going pharma mode. Let's break down what he said. And yeah, I kind of agree with him, but in the most sarcastic way possible. Let's roll the tape.
When I first saw you, I think you were more excited, or you were excited about the China deal, but prescription drugs, which has been very, very painful for a lot of Americans. 80% of medications are created in America, and then we end up paying more for those medications. Foreign countries do not pay as much as we do. You said that is over. Can you explain why this is such a big deal?
Well, for many years, we were taken advantage of by other countries and the drug companies, but I blame the other countries in a way more, the European Union, etc. They were very nasty and very tough to the drug companies, and they would give them a very low price for drug costs in the European nations. And when that price was given, that was it. They wouldn't negotiate. They said, let America pay for the difference. And this happened all over the world with other countries. And we had stupid people leading us, and especially over the last 4 years. And they wouldn't do anything about it. And it turned out that we were paying, and sometimes you saw 10 times more for the same drug.
80% of medications are created in America, then we end up paying more. So basically, we're the chef, but Europe eats for free, and we get charged delivery fees. These European countries really out here going, oh, you made the drug? Cute. We'll pay $3 and you'll like it, America. And our leaders were like, yes, daddy, EU. Thank you, sir. What were we doing?
Same drug, same company, same plant where they make it, laboratory. And it got to a point where I said, we're not going to do this anymore. The pharmaceutical industry is very powerful, and probably the most powerful, considered the most powerful lobby. And the Democrats were making it impossible to lower drug prices. They knew what they were doing. And I instituted a most favored nations provision or concept where we're going to pay whatever the lowest country pays in the world. So if it's the UK, which pays very low, in any country, it could be any country, whatever the lowest price is. And the drug companies have accepted it. Everybody accepts it. But the Democrats never wanted to play ball. They never wanted to do anything. It's the Democrats' fault that people were being ripped off for years and years.
You know what? Harsh, but not totally wrong. Like, who signed off on this pharmacy Hunger Games system? You pay $500 for Tylenol and a Band-Aid, and somehow the Netherlands is getting Ozempic with a Groupon code. Whatever the lowest price is in the world, that's what we pay.
And now I hear Democrats saying, oh, well, we're going to now go for the bill. It's going to be very hard for them not to approve the big, beautiful bill that we're doing. We're doing the biggest tax cuts in the history of our country, because people are going to be getting a 50 to a 90% reduction in drug prices, not a 0.5%. I remember when I would fight so hard to get a 0.5 point, and I actually had it down a 0.5 point for 1 year, and I was so proud of myself because that never happened before. It was always going up. Drugs only went in one direction, that's up. And now, after studying the industry, it's a very complex industry, but I figured it out, and I said it's not going to happen. But the Democrats fought very hard to keep the prices of drugs very, very high. They really are to blame for this, because they should have done something about it. And when the Republicans went with requests, they said, we're not going to approve it. And now we have a unified Republican Party. But I think the Democrats are going to approve this bill, too, because how are they going to reject a 60, 70, 80% drug cut?
This man basically said, we're going to start shopping at Ross for meds, not Neiman Marcus. Honestly, for once, that's not a bad idea. Big Pharma's been out here charging Gucci prices for generic Tylenol. He really said, I knocked 0.5% off drug prices and popped a bottle like I ended world hunger. But hey, baby steps?
I don't think they can.
I think it's going to be huge. The fact that these drugs the creation of these drugs, I mean, these companies have to go through a very arduous process to get approval.
That's right.
By the government. They spend billions of dollars, and put aside whether or not, quote, people demonize Big Pharma. That's separate and apart. However, We usually end up creating them, and then we end up paying 10 times more, which is crazy.
Well, they used to use that, if I could interrupt, they used to use that as a reason why we were paying 5 and 10 times more than other countries. They say because of research and development. And I'd always say, well, what about you doing research and development for the rest of the world too? Why are we paying for 100%? So we paid 100% for research and development, which, along with other things, believe it or not, raised the price to a point where you were 5 to 10 times higher than the rest of the world. And I told the story today. It was well received. A friend of mine who's slightly overweight, to put it mildly, went to a drugstore in London, and he was able to get one of the fat shots. I call it the fat shots, the jabs, that you lose weight.
By the way, a lot of people laugh at that. Some people get offended by. I don't get offended by anything.
I'm just glad I didn't use his name. He's actually a very rich guy. He's a very successful guy.
He's glad you didn't use his name.
No, he's very happy.
Oh.
He knows exactly who I was talking about. He called. He said, that was interesting. He said he was very concerned that I might use his name. It might slip. No, he doesn't have to worry. But he went to London, and he bought this...
Ozempic, Wegovy, one of those?
I guess, yeah, I'm not sure which one. But he bought one of them, maybe Ozempic. And he bought it, and he called me. He said, hey, strange thing happened. I just bought a drug, same company, same plant, same everything. Everything was the same. In one case, I paid in New York $1,300, and in London, I'm paying $88. He said, what's going on? Now, he knew nothing. He's a very smart guy. He's a very rich guy. His big problem is he's seriously overweight. But I don't think the drug worked, okay, to be honest with you. But it makes him feel good anyway.
Listen, the second he said slightly overweight, to put it mildly, I knew this was about to be comedy gold. This man's billionaire friend flew to London to buy a fat shot for $88. Same shot in New York, $1,300. Y'all, that's not a price tag. That's extortion. Man went on a diet and still got robbed.
But so what happens is he said to me, I paid $88 and in New York I get it for $1,300 or something. A massive difference. And I said, that's right, the drug laws are very screwed up and I'm doing something about it. He said, you better, because this is crazy. He didn't understand it, but he didn't understand why. And now he understands why, because he watched our news conference this morning, holding his breath, right? But he watched his news conference. But think of it. So he goes to London, and a lot of people go shopping in nearby or even far away countries, and they'll go away once a month or once a week or something. If it's a nearby country, they'll go right across the border and they'll buy the same drug for 1/10 the price as we pay in the United States. And a part of it is the power of the drug companies, which is a very big power. But I think a bigger part is the ruthlessness of other nations to screw the United States of America.
Let me get this straight. Europe walks into the negotiation room like Liam Neeson and says, I will find you and I will pay less. Meanwhile, America shows up with a coupon and still pays full price plus tax and emotional damage.
And the European Union would be the top because they represent a lot of countries, and they're brutal, according to the drug companies told me this, they're brutal in negotiations. They say, this is what we're going to pay. We're not going to pay any more, and if you need more, you get it from America. And so they get a low price, so we get a high price. And I ended it. And this has been going on for many years, but nobody realized that you could do. I think I figured out the system. Very complex chain of events take place, and I ended it. And I have to say, the drug companies were great. They were great. They said, look, it's time. They actually looked, they said, it's time.
So yeah, Trump's speech, half roast, half policy rant, 100% unfiltered. Look, I'm not saying he's the pharma messiah, but he's got a point. We shouldn't be paying more for the same exact drug just because we don't live in a country that negotiates like it's Black Friday. Let's be real. Big Pharma got too comfy. It's about time someone gave them a wake-up call, even if that someone's telling fat jokes and name-dropping the UK like it's an ex-girlfriend. All right, let me know what y'all think. Is Trump onto something here, or just yelling at clouds again?